Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Here we go. The riders are going to set off and get in this kick. Watch the power. 400 watts from Mr. X100 Plus as he goes off from that line, and he'll be looking to head this out. But with the first ascent of the climb done, you can see Solo lead a little gap from SS, who's looking really strong today, with a big group behind us.
And look at that, we're seeing Vink take nothing of it, because Vink on the left-hand side of your screen has said, I can see what you're doing, and I am having none of it. Right, you want to catch me? I'm out.
And this is where the Pavlova and the UAE clan team have got to do some thinking here. Would they rather that neither of them got the win because they both pull each other back, or one of them got the win and they gave Michael Vink a workout? And Knudsen is on his way up the cross. He's got it down to 7 seconds, and look at the gap behind him. Timing right behind. You can see both SS and Van Est at the moment. 0 watts per kilo, took down low, recovering. Aim now, get that heart rate. Hang on a minute, we are in trouble here. If we don't hang around, we don't get a figure out, we are going to get caught here. We can't stop, we can't hang, we can't wait. They are coming, and we need to push on here.
So with 200 metres to go on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, Vink has once again shown us how to ride away from a pack, how to ride away from a class field and time trial effort to the finish, as Vink covers the last few metres of the race and takes the win today.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 3. It's the 18th of December 2022, and we are in for a cracker. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be putting words to all of the action. Well, not quite all, because joining me in the commentary box is Emma Martin. Emma, welcome once again. We're on qualifier race number 3, and it's going to be a slightly different format with 4 different race starts today, which is going to shake things up, but we have a fairly familiar course for our riders.
Yeah, we do indeed. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. It's great to be with you. So the men's race today, 45 kilometres with an elevation of 506 metres, and that comes over 4 climbs today. So the first 3 climbs today, long gradual climbs, average gradients 2% or less, but we're bringing us into that final climb today, a category 3 climb, 6 kilometres long, with the finish at the top of that climb.
So finish up at the top of the climb. We're going to get there very shortly indeed. So let's watch what's going to happen. Emma, take us through those segments.
Yeah, so that climb, we're finishing at the top, so 7 segments today. So taking a look at those: 3 by 1 kilometre, 1 by 3k, 1 by 3.5k, and 2 by 5k, giving us a really good indication today of how that race is going. So you can see 4 different screens in front of us today. The category 1 riders to the far left of the screen. The category 4 riders are first starters today, on the far right of the screen, with 57 seconds left until race start for those category 4 riders today in those red jerseys. So in the teams today, just 1 team in our category 4 race today, the mixed breeds. So red jerseys, category 4. There are 11 riders on the start sheets today in this category 4 race, and they will be starting first, followed by our category 3, then category 2, then category 1 riders.
And you can see that pen is lined up. We're on 20 seconds to go, Emma. Looking good. Going to be really interested to see how the 4th categories approach this. Are they going to go flat out, or are they going to take it steady and wait for that catch? Real tactics going to go on here today. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens here. So we are on 5 seconds to go. Emma, take us away.
Yeah, so as the power is going down, we're seeing these riders in red kicking for the start line, and the go has gone as we're in with Acevedo. Acevedo kicking 5.4 watts per kilo to try and get a really good start. These men are actually taking this really fast off this start line today to really push on and see what a gap they can make.
Well, look at this start go at the moment. Kamsa, yeah, just got the quick move there, but you can just see because he didn't stay with that pack and he eased off a little bit. It has become really interesting because he just dropped back and making sure that you get this start with the group is almost as important as getting a fast start.
It is. So a flat start today on this course for these men, which is why this kick has really pushed the pace up and why Kamesh there had a problem off the back. So Kamesh took the win last week. So surprising that he didn't have his eye on the ball today, but he's back in with this group now as they approach the first climb coming at 1.7 kilometers today.
So as you can see, our fourth category riders away and racing, 3, 2, and 1 lined up in the start lines in those pens, just making sure. And you can see with the clocks on top of the gantry how long we've got to go. Just under 4 minutes for our third cat, just under 9 minutes for the second category. The first category, they can go get an espresso, go get themselves warmed up. Meanwhile, right-hand side of your screen, you can see our fourth category riders looking to get as much distance as they can. Remember, everyone else is on kilometre 0 at the moment, but in with Diego Orrego, they've already got nearly 1K underneath their wheels, and this is critical, isn't it? Get a good head start, but don't use too much energy, and getting that balance right, working on, are you going to get caught by the third cat? Is that a point where you want to jump in? What sort of rider are you? How and where is that catch going to be made on the course? There's so many different variables now. This really has changed.
Yeah, and this is a phenomenal fast start off these Category 4 riders today. They really are pushing on to really get as clear as possible. You know, there's a long gap back to that Category 1 start. And whilst the numbers have been worked out by the production team for this race today and race control, it's going to be really interesting to see who can make what catch.
Well, that's it. The time gaps are going to be critical here. But look at Hamid at the moment. 15 seconds down. Now, is the best tactic if you get dropped to wait for a group. We say this on other rides, on other group rides, lots of the chain gang type rides. You've got to wait for a group. There's no point burning yourself into the ground. But he would have a long wait, and it's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? Does he wait for the third category riders to catch him, conserve energy, or does he work to come back to the group, knowing that that lead group with Fanati are going to ease off and let him come back to them?
Yeah, well, this group are working well together, and this group are still together. It's only Kamash who is off the back of this group, and whilst he is off the back, it's still sitting around 15 seconds. So 9 riders in this lead group at the moment, and 1 rider off the back.
So 9 and 1 in category number 4. These are our entry level. This is the basic standard level for everybody. It's a really, really quick ride, though, and can't underestimate the power that you need to get off from that start line with the group. But getting the timing right, clearly critical, and it now puts Hamid in that awkward no man's land. You can see the front group have got the advantage of the draft behind him. The start is approaching for our category 3 riders. So just in with Bruno Simeo at the moment in category 3. His group will be the next group of riders to set off from that start line. But category 4 riders looking good at the moment, and this group is working well. And I think if I was in this group, if I was a Rego or Colbo, I would be looking to maximize this because Hamid is a regular contender in category 4, and that means the more you leave him behind, the more work you've got to give him, the better it is. Now, this is the group that he could jump in with. This is our category 3 riders. We have our teams in with our usual ever-present UAE Road Warriors and, of course, Team Strikers as well. And I think this is going to be really interesting to see whether the Strikers and the Road Warriors teams can pull back the groups. And of course, we've got a lot of riders in this race field.
Yeah, so 34 riders on the start sheets today in our blue category 3 jerseys with 20 seconds to go till the start.
So here we go. The riders are just sort of winding themselves up and going to get themselves off from the start. They're going to be chasing category 4 riders. They've got 8, 7, 7, 6. Here we go. The countdown is on. Ready for category 3 race start. They're off. They've got a carrot in front to chase after. They know that the big stick of category 2 and category 1 are going to be starting behind so as they come out from the pens, out from that junction on to the course proper. The distance clock starts. The leaders at the moment of the race are our fourth category riders. They have 2.84 K on the clock, so they're about 2.5 K up the road at the moment.
Yeah, they are, as we are in with Dadson. So Dadson, a really strong Category 3 rider, regularly was fourth last week, actually. So really strong, really good, but some really competitive racing regularly in Category 3 and in Category 4. So across all of our categories, it is competitive, as we see one of our Category 3 riders really push on there at the start, and the group are going to have to watch because Florian Dromard is really pushing on and getting the hammer down on this start today.
So Drummond at the moment trying to open that gap up, trying to get across, I think. He's got a lot of ground to make up. He has got the best part of two categories. But if you look at the pace he's moving, he's doing 42 kilometers now. That's 25, nearly 26 miles an hour in imperial measurements. And you can see really is pushing very, very hard indeed. But he is one rider. And there's some really experienced riders behind Martin Nolo, Restrepo, Dadson, Mamba in there. They are going to push. So category 4 leading on the right-hand side of your screen. Category 3 chasing. We have just over 3 minutes to the start of category 2. And we have, of course, just over 6 minutes to the start of category 1. So plenty of time for these guys to get a head start, to get up the road. But remember, of course, how this will work out at the end is that we will have an overall race result, which you can find on mywhoosh.com/results. But then you can split it down, and the prizes, as always, how going to be coming out. They've come out in the past and will come out and continue to come out in individual categories. So there's no overall prize list. It's still the same. So if you are the first category 4 rider or the first category 3 rider, you will take first place in that, irrespective of where you finish in the overall race field. Same for our category 1 and 2. If our category 1 leader was 15th, not going to take 15th overall, they're going to take first category 1 rider.
Yeah, so interesting to see how our different starts roll out today and what it does to the dynamics of the racing today. But as we can see, we've still got a large pack together in that Category 4 race, but the Category 3 riders are really a little more spread across the road.
They are indeed, but we've got the big guns still waiting to fire. We've fired off our little pistol, we've fired off the rifle, we've got the machine gun, and we've got the big cannon at the end. It really is going to ramp up in terms of firepower, in terms of explosive action, because you can see category 1 and 2, the generally category 1 our fastest riders, the overall race winners, almost invariably, certainly when it comes to the men's racing, they are waiting. And you've got to imagine, if this was me, I don't care how many times I've raced, I am going to be even more eager to go. Having sat there and watched these riders go off in front, that is just going to make me even more fired up to go chase after them. That's for sure. I don't know about you, Emma. I think great change to the format so far. We're very early days of kilometers, but look at this. These are category 4 riders. I mean, it's a great bunch that are working together, and they are really trying to push on. Meanwhile, Dromard, he's got the gap in category 3 in the blue jerseys, not going away. If anything, I think he's coming back a little bit here.
Yeah, I think that chasing group in category 3 are making that catch. But they have made a little leeway, maybe only just shy of 10 seconds, but they have made a small leeway on that category 4 pack. But that pack are working really well together. And rather than being strung across the road, they are working together to stay away.
So into our category 2 riders, UAE Falcons, our team in category 2, but a massive field of individual riders. Remember, the team prize is only coming in when we reach our finals on the 25th of December.
Yeah, so 39 riders on the start sheets today in our category 2 race, and a real mix because some really strong riders and often a big group with a sprint at the front of this category 2 race takes us into the finish line.
Indeed, and these category 2 riders can mix it up with category 1. And we do know, I mean, last time out, we saw Cadiz from Sprat, from Kranich, from Angarita, then Gates, Mr. G, Toretto, Maglio, Smith, and Cardenas. They are the riders who are there. Here we go. A race start has gone, and they've got to make it. Will it be one of our regular names? Will it be a new rider?
Yeah, so as this pack pushes on, this pack is really a big group of riders and a group of fast riders who are going to get the momentum really rolling quickly here. As we see the kicking on the front from Il Pino, absolutely up to about 8-9 watts per kilo to really start to stretch this group. He means business today.
So you can see a right-hand side of the screen, category 4, bottom right-hand corner, category 3 in the blue, category 2 in the green, kicking off. We've got nearly a 6K on the clock for category 4. We've got 3.5 for category 3. We've got just under half a K for category 2. And category 1, well, they're just deciding it's about time to finish their espressos, jump on the bike and get themselves ready to go.
Yeah, so this category 2 start on the left-hand side of your screen is already stretching the pack across the road and down the road as we really see the difference here in these racers really starting to push hard here on this category 2 race today. On the right-hand side of your screen, that category 3 race is starting to split. We're seeing a Storger go forward and Dromard actually towards the front of that pack, and the rest of the riders are behind them on the road. Whereas our category 4 riders are still in one group and working together, rolling through and off on the front of that pack.
So you can just see that blue jerseys there. That little breakaway just starting to peel off that Emma spotted on the screens there. But look at category 2. They're not hanging around either. They've gone from the gun. That is one long line. Basically, if you're watching for the first time, some easy clues to watch the action. If the group is together as a big bunch across the road and they are as wide as they are long, it means that the pace is off. If it's long, strung out, thin line, the pace is well and truly on. If it starts to break apart, expect the speed to yo-yo. Those are real key things when you're watching this. If you're seeing the riders not moving, they're on our start line. They're waiting to go with less than 3 minutes to the start of category 1.
Yeah, so there might be 3 minutes to start of category 1, but those category 2 riders are strung out in a huge line and they have already started to shed riders today. The pace is so high at the front of that pack, it's over 40 kph.
It is indeed, and you can just see how much damage is being done to these groups as they start splitting up here. I think it's really interesting, isn't it, Emma? We're seeing attack after attack. Finati now attacking off group number 1. He's gone out at a fair old wattage, but look at the response behind Novello coming up as well as the riders behind us like Duvin, Tom, as well as Michael, all starting to push up to near 7-8 watts per kilo, try and close down only fractionally because you can't maintain that for very long.
Yeah, so that category 4 race is well and truly underway, over 7 kilometres now into the race course, whereas our category 3 riders on the left hand side of your screen have just covered 5k and are starting to spread with those riders just down the road. They are leaving them strung out there at the moment. It's only a 2 or 3 second gap, but the pack don't seem interested in bringing them back in.
They don't, do they? And I think this is the thing. You could get caught up in chasing other groups. You could get caught up in chasing breakaways and actually lose your game plan, lose the ability. But we're just taking a look now at category number 3. I think they're about to catch the category 4 riders fairly quickly here. I can see riders in front, and I think we're going to see a catch unless there's been a massive breakaway off the front. We're just trying to get a little view of that.
Yeah, so these are our category 2 riders in the green jerseys, and on that top right hand corner screen you can just see the blobs on the screen. There are riders dropping back from the earlier race start, so our category 3 and category 2 riders, and I think that's where we're going to start to see these category 2 riders start to pick up the back end of the other race fields.
So category number 1 are elite riders. The UAE clan team, our Yorkshire Pudding Express, the Swedish Candy Canes and Danish Pavlova squads. Real big names when it comes to racing here on MyWhoosh. We've got Italian Gelato, the Belgian Waffles, Buzz and the Rosa team, and the PKT training team as well. Big riders to watch out for. Watch out for Pavlova. They've got Jason Osborne in here. We've got Popovich in as well, but we're in to that countdown.
Yeah, so 56 riders on the start sheets in category 1 today as they start to put that power down for this start on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club qualifier 3 in December today, and away our category 1 riders go. So we are in with Mr. X100. This pack have just started on qualifier race at number 3 today. As they push on, they've got our category 2, our category 3, and our category 4 riders down the road to chase.
They have indeed. Just watching Mr. X100 leading this out here at nearly 9 watts per kilo as he wants to kick off that start and stay with that group. The safest way to ensure you're with the group is to kick hard enough to stay at the front of the group. If you're on the back, you can soon get stretched out. But I think all of the UAE clan team are going to be very, very attentive today.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see some very fast riding from the front of this group today. The tendency here is going to be to go hard and to make some catches because you've got people down the road. You know there are packs to chase, and it gives an added incentive.
And the other thing it does is it encourages breakaways from category 1 to go out and away. So riders who have previously had to solo to victory don't just have to solo anymore. You can go off the front, take a rest behind another rider, get a little bit of a recovery, then go again and leapfrog one rider after another, after another, after another up the road. It's not just one constant effort. And that means that if you are a breakaway rider, this change in categories is going to be to your advantage. I personally would think this was great because it would allow me to sprint to another category group, ease, recover, get some breath back, go again. And that as category 1 rider is really going to be of advantage to keep braking, keep pushing, and keep pushing. And it actually gives the advantage to an individual rider more than the pack behind. However, pack gets that draft all the time,
They
not just
do,
part of the
and we've
time.
often said, haven't we, often the rider that wins the race is not the one that we see early on. Often the rider that wins the race is not the one with the highest watts per kilo average for the race distance, but one of the lower watts per kilo averages for the race distance because they are consummate masters of the draft. And being a consummate master of the draft is really key to having a really strong performance, particularly on a course like today, where we go into a 6.2k kilometre climb for the finish of the race. So a mountaintop finish today, and a strong rider will be needed near the end.
So just taking a little look at category number 3 here, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a breakaway, a little bit of a gap open up. And you can see these groups are fracturing in category 3, then reforming. Now the riders in the blue are right bottom side of your screen. The leaders on the course, 9.87k. So the 4th category riders still have 2k separating them from category 3 behind. Category 1 chasing hard. They're only just approaching 2k on the course done, but this pack riding well and just about to enter the first of our segments, which are timed discreetly, individual timing.
Yeah, so they are indeed individual timing. It's not the first person through the segment, it's the fastest rider through the segment, and often they are not the first person through. So our category 4, 3 and 2 riders will have already been through this segment. So we are following and watching the times of category 1 to see who is fastest. And it is going to be really interesting to see whether our category 1 riders are indeed the fastest through this segment, or whether our category 2 riders, for example, went hard for the first 3 or 4 kilometres to try and put as much distance between them and the category 1 riders chasing behind.
Well, you can just see Ollie Jones at the moment. He is looking to get a fast time. He's at 15 watts per kilo, sprinted clear of that group. He was then chased by Phil Graves and Mitch Ferry, who didn't want to let Ollie Jones of the Danish Pavlova squad down the road. A very dangerous man to go down the road. But you can see behind, quick response, Osborne, Pablo Popovic, Safrazad, all these riders continuing to fight to chase at the moment. And it's going to take a little bit of rallying by the troops to get this back together again. So let's see how these riders manage to close the race down. We're approaching the end of the first segment. So this is going to be the first of our segment times. And I'm going to let Emma run through those because this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, so taking a look at that, it has indeed been our category 1 riders who have gone through that segment the fastest. So 1 minute 32 for Simmons there with an average watts per kilo of 6.2. These Category 1 riders were really pushing on here. Kirchner in 2, Vink in 3, Safrazad in 4, Ferry in 5. These riders have gone through as a pack today with less than a second separating first from 12th.
Indeed, and you can just see it really has shown the power that these guys are putting down. So the average watts per kilo for that segment, if you look across those, it's going to be about the 5.7 marker for the average watts per kilo for these elite riders. That is absolutely shifting.
Yeah, now I think this has made the Category 1 riders start faster than normal, Matt. So I think this is going to be really interesting and really telling when we start to get into the latter stages of this race today.
Well, just watching right-hand side of your screen, Category 2 riders in the green. Nicholas Spratt at the moment looking like he's opening up the gaps at the moment, just starting to try and stretch that out a little bit. He's up at the front of Category 2. Meanwhile, Category 1 are chasing the distance between them, about 5K in between.
Yeah, and that little top right-hand corner of your screen, viewers, you can start to see a couple of riders just get distance off the back of that Category 1 group going through. A really good picture of what's actually happening in the dynamics of that pack as we start to see Mr. X100 and Jason Osborne just put a little bit of power down on the pedals to stretch the front of that Category 1 race even further. So across the screen, we can start to see in Category 2, we've got 4 riders now clear of that group pushing on. We're in with Ryan Giuliano. Giuliano, one of our really strong riders in Category 2. As that front pack really starts to form and groups are now starting to stretch and come back, stretch and come back, riders are starting to test each other's legs in all of our categories today.
So 4 categories setting off at 4 different times. We can see on our screens in yellow category 1, in green category 2, in blue category 3, and in red category 4. 4, 3, 2, and 1 was the order of the start. The distance is coming down between the categories as they continue to push on, but the most powerful and in theory the fastest riders are the riders who set off last, which should mean if this is done right, and having some experience of handicapping races, in fact, I think it was about 3.5 decades ago, I first handicapped my first track race. The aim is to get all the riders to go across the line, and you could throw one blanket over the top of all the finishers. This is a big pack to do that. I think you'd need more of a big parachute that would probably support a whole aeroplane, maybe a whole airship over the top of them to cover this many riders. But it should mean that we're going to close it down and they're going to get closer and closer together. But of course, this will change the dynamics of the racing and how people ride the race. So let's see how this progresses as we go onwards. Now, our 4th category riders are just approaching 12 kilometers. 11.3 for the riders in category 3. They are closing those gaps down. Category 1 riders, they are still chasing at 5.5K. And this is where they've got to work out, do they chase the lead? Remember, the prizes, there's no prizes for the overall. So if the first category rider is the first rider in category 1, that's all that matters in terms of getting the money. It's all that matters in terms of pride. But personally, I don't think a category 1 rider, if you aren't good enough to be category 1, you're going to want to take that overall win as well.
Yeah, but look at these wattage coming out of these riders today. These riders are absolutely motoring. They're nearly 50 kph on this section of road. And I know we are on a slight decline, but it is absolutely fractional at 1% of a descent here. This pack is smaller than the start pack, but it is really motoring today as we are in with Vujasin. Vujasin has got Simmons for company, SS, Graves, Ferry, Van Elst. These are absolutely quality category 1 riders in this lead group today, and they are on a mission.
They are, and it's less than 3 kilometers separating category 1 from category 2 at the moment. So that gap is coming down. Is it coming down fast enough? Remember, we have a 45-kilometer course with a climb at the end as we see our category 1 riders. They're making their way in underneath the end of our next segment. So we're going to be getting our segments, and Emma, I'm going to let you run through. I'm sure those results will be up on our screens very soon. There we go.
Yeah, and take a look at that. So, segment 2, our category 2 riders who are pushing hard on the front of that category 2 pack have indeed go through faster than our category 1 riders. So, Spratt, Ilpino, and Kranich, riders who are always in the top 5 of that category 2 race, have come through at a faster pace than our category 1 riders. Stefan van Elst, our first category 1 rider, with Simmons, Butch Muller, Osborne, and Parrott coming through in the next group. So 117, 118, and 121 from those category 2 riders, really pushing on the pace there and coming through segment 2 faster than the chasing group behind.
And interestingly, just looking down into that splits a bit further down, the next category 2 rider was Giuliano with De Jesus behind him. They were 7 seconds nearly slower than the leaders in category 2 through that split. So it shows you that at that point on segment number 2, that the leaders on the course in category 2, that is Spratt, Ilpino, and Krasnich, are looking very, very good. They were 6 seconds faster through that segment, and at that point really rocketing on. Now you can see in category number 3, Rodil Astorga at the moment on our screens. Now Astorga in that group continuing to push. Another rider who's going really well. He was our fastest category 3 rider in that second segment. He went through 7 seconds slower than the fastest time. He had with him a Dromard, but those two riders, well, they were some 10 seconds nearly quicker through that segment and pushing on. You can see them on the left-hand side of your screen at the moment.
Yes, they are indeed. And there is 800 meters, less than 800 meters now separating the front of this category 3 race with the category 4 riders on the road. So I don't think it's going to be too long till we see those 2 riders at the front of that category 3 race catch the back of this category 4 race.
So we are just taking a look at our category 4 riders to give you an indication. The category 4 riders on segment 2, which is a 1 kilometer segment, were 26 seconds slower, 26 seconds slower than the fastest category 2 riders. That's an indication of the speed and the pace. So category 4 currently still leading, but that is a matter of only a few hundred meters between 3 and 4. 2 chasing 3, 1 chasing absolutely everybody on the way through. So look at this, Mr. X100's group, the leading pack of category 1. In category 2, you can see Tom Gates up here, one of our regular strong riders, with Wolf, with Skretting in there as well. Looks like Carl Tisalius in the mix, but they are trying to stay clear of this group, which is our category 1 leaders. And this bunch is absolutely motoring at the moment. They've just gone underneath the 9K marker, which is the start of segment number 3. And this is another 1K segment. Will they have the fastest time, or will it be one of our category 2 riders? Tom Gates at the moment on the attack in category 2. And looks like Novello at the moment. Look at that, 12 pushing out at 12. He's almost got double the watts per kilo there coming out and through. So it looks like that power is opening up. So he's opened a gap there. He's pushing out to still more power than the guys behind. So let's have a look at the speed he's going. He's absolutely motoring. He's got that gap, and I think that's a response to about to get caught.
Yeah, so I think we are about to start to see catches take place on this course amongst our categories today. The distance between the back of the fields and the front of the next field is really starting to close up. So on the right hand side of your screen, we are in with Tom Gates. This is a gap now. Back to Gates in this category 2 race. Gates is pushing and pulling the rest of the group. They are trying to close that gap now to the front of that category 2 race, where Giuliano, Abello, Baltazar, and Kranich are in with and just taking over one of our category 3 riders.
So look at this, category 1 now going in through the end of segment number 3. But that is very telling indeed. This is the second segment in a row where our second category riders have taken the fastest time. Not by
Yeah.
much, but still faster.
And I think that is about what's going on in that second category race, where we are seeing small groups attack other small groups and riders coming back to and working hard to close the gap on the back because they are starting to overtake those category 3 riders. So, indeed, we've got Sprat coming through there. And in terms of that category segment number 3, those times in Spratt and Ilpino coming through again in front of Simmons, Jones, Popovich and Van Elst, those category 1 riders. So that's really about what is going on at the front of this category 2 race.
And this is really interesting because you can just see the gaps are really closing down. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see Category 4 continue to push in on, but Category 1 are chasing hard. And again, another break here, I think, in Category number 1. So just jumped in with Jason Osborne at the moment, but Osborne are trying to close down a gap in front of Vujasin and Vink it is at the moment. And I tell you something, it's going to give an advantage, I think, to those riders who are trying to break away. So you can see the riders on the front. Michael Vick is again pushing out hard here. He's looking to break clear. And remember, of course, if the riders are doing what most riders do, watching the live stream to get an overall overview of the race, because that we're going to be looking at 4 categories at once. It means each individual category will get less attention, particularly on category 1. And that means that there is an opportunity to blindside the other riders by going away and hoping that if they didn't notice it on their screen, it's not shown on our screens, and that means they've got a little bit more chance to break away and get clear. Unfortunately for most people, that means Michael Vick could well be up the road because he is the rider who has won time and time again. You saw on that rewind, he's an absolute master of the breakaway.
Yeah, so Vink, the last 3 weeks we have seen Vink ride away from those category 1 riders. He is a man on form at the moment and a man who knows his limits in terms of managing them in a time trial style and riding off the front of the group. But the competitive edge of those category 1 riders is really pushing and pulling this pack on, because down the road you can see bodies and you can see riders, and they are just continuing to try and close the gap and make the catch to the riders behind. There are now seconds before they overtake another category 3 rider, gone and back into the distance, and the category 2 pack is in their sights now with around 12 to 13 seconds before they jump on the back of that category 2 group today.
I tell you something, when this pack goes past you, it's just like straight past. And it's going to be a case trying to jump in, getting the timing right. It's going to be key. Using the view. So remember, our riders can use different camera angles to judge that view. Looking behind is very, very important if you are in a group up in front. Now, we're just looking at category 4 on the right hand side of your screen at the moment. And as we look across, you can see the gaps are all over the place. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, left to right on your screen in yellow, green, blue, and red. But the front here, this is Michael Vink of the front of category 1. You can just see him rocketing in and through, and look at them go through. You can see the difference in viewpoint with those 4 cameras side by side there. Michael Vink and the leaders of category 4 are category 1 are absolutely rocketing their way up and through, and they are at the moment putting so much pace down. We're seeing a big split open.
We are, but Osborne, Graves, Safrasad, Jones, Van Elst are not letting Vink ride away this week. They are not letting him go. They are staying on that wheel. Popovich is there as well. This group are really pushing, and they are not letting Vink have it his own way at the moment.
They are definitely not, and I think it's going to be very easy to get caught out here. You're going to have to be so attentive with so much going on simultaneously. Ollie Jones back into the mix. This group reforming Mr. X100 is the leader on the road in category 1 on the right-hand side of your screen, but he's being closed down by Vujasin and Ferry. He's still got riders in category 2 all over the place, but it is all over the place as they make their way up this course at the moment. We're just going to try and keep a look at our category 4 riders, and it looks to me like Rodel Astoga has made the catch. So this is the very front of the race now. This is position 1, and it is a rider who has made his way up through from category 3 past our category 4 riders and has gone up to the front. Meanwhile, Mr. X100 is continuing to push, and I think I'm going to need to do a little bit of a correction. He was out the back of the group with Ferry and Vajestin trying to close down on the front of the group. Osborne and Ving at the moment are accelerated on the very front. It's absolutely manic today.
And I think that is exactly what you were just talking about there, Matt. Instead, you know, keeping your eyes around about you, because there is so much going on at the screen. Your own category is attacking, and the race is taking part in your own category. Yet you are catching other categories, and you've got to be cognizant of actually getting past them in a group and not letting a break take place in your own race whilst you overtake a pack in a different race. You know, it really takes some real skill and thinking about. And when you are going this fast, how much brain capacity have you really got?
I'd like to go that fast. Full stop. That would just do to start off with. The pace today is blisteringly quick, and I think it is taking its time. Another attack just gone off the front. I think Vink has gone again. Yes, he has. Vink being marked down by Grays, being marked down by Osborne, Noran, and Co. And now it's Osborne back on the front. But look at this. Van Elsting goes over the top. No one is letting anybody go. They're so nervy. It's almost like they're all sat on the edge of the seat, right at the tip of the saddle, absolutely giving it full beans. At the moment, they are at 14.5k of a 45-kilometer course. So we are approaching a third race distance at the moment. But look at this. They are absolutely motoring the way through. Mr. X100 about to make the catch. He's likely to go absolutely flying straight over the top. There we go. And just gets himself back into the group. But he used energy. He burnt up some matches, used up a spoon.
Yeah, he has indeed. Warning over the top of that group, but modulating.
See that gap is coming down to the horizon in front. Here we go through now. Look at that, Mr. X100's chase. He was chasing hard there as he came in and through. Look at that. It is absolutely super quick. 6 seconds quicker on the way through the Nilpino, 13 the Sprat, and 19 seconds quicker. He's back with the group. He's not in the lead, but that is so much energy
He
used.
had a catch to make, and he time trialed his way from the gap back, you know, that second group back of category 1 riders. He's done that time trial effort that we've seen other riders use on these courses before, you know, and he's used that tactic to get back in this group, and that's given him the fastest time through that segment today. Though noticing Ilpino and Sprat are still on a charge. Those two category 2 riders do not want the category 1s to catch them today, and they are absolutely adamant they are going to try and stay out for as long as possible.
Well, it's their chance actually to take that overall win, isn't it? As well, I think that's one of the things they've got to be thinking about is can we take that overall? But at the moment, look at this: Dromard and Astorga are the front of the race. They are at 22 kilometers nearly. They're approaching half race distance. But the leaders of category 1, they're only just over a third race distance. So lots of time left to close down, but a big gap to close.
Yeah, and Astorga and Dromard have now got around 20 seconds on that category 4 pack behind them. So they've made the catch that category 4 group. They've gone past that category 4 group, and now those two riders are 20 plus seconds clear at the front of the entire race today. But dropping back in with the front of this category 1 race, they have worked their way through the field and they are up to around 45th place in this race today as Mr. X100, Ollie Jones, Johan Noren, Said Safrazad. The players that we expect to see here are indeed in this front group today.
They are, and pushing on well. And remember, of course, we get a little snapshot with all of our segments. So just taking a look, it looks like Michael Vink once again pushing on at the front of the race. He's starting to get a couple of riders come across. You can see that on the top right-hand side of your screen. Vink being closed down by Mr. X100 and by Jason Osborne, but Vink continues to push on this slight gradient at the moment. It's a fraction of a percentage, but look at this. He's got 3 riders, and then the response comes behind. And every time he attacks at the moment, the teams are closing him down. They don't want to let him get away. They don't want to let him take that victory in Category 1.
No, it doesn't indeed. And you can just see now on the screens in front of you, we've got all 4 categories and the race going on. So still a strong pack in that category 4 race on the right-hand side of your screen. A lone leader in our category 3 race as Astorga really is pushing on, and no longer a 2-man breakaway, but a 1-man up the road. In category 2, we are seeing a pack interspersed. They've made that catch with some of those category 3 riders. So there's a blue jersey in with that green jersey pack. And our category 1 riders are fast and furious. They are absolutely motoring now. And we can start to see the race distances on our screen. You know, that front of the Category 4 race, 22.75k. The front of the Category 3 race, 23.3k. So ahead of the Category 4 race now. 17.4k for our Category 3 race, but 18.5 now as our Category 1 riders have gone past that pack today.
Well, really interesting to see the differences in speed. I've just been keeping an eye on a segment number 5, which will be our next segment that all of our riders come through. And watching segment number 5, initially it was Rodel Astorga with the fastest time through there. But then we saw an absolutely blistering move as we saw Spratt and Pino come through. They then set the fastest time in the house as they came through the end of that segment. Our category 1 are just starting. This is a 3-kilometer segment. It's a long segment, so it gives a really good snapshot of how those riders are traveling on the course at the moment in all of our groups. But Spratt and Ilpino doing potentially the ride of the day, although Astorga, having come through, he's taken the race lead. He's been setting the fastest times, but I don't think he's got the power and the speed to stay clear of Spratt and Ilpino, who are very strong at the moment.
Yes, and I'm really interested to see what happens towards the latter stages of this race with Spratt and Ilpino. You know, 2 really strong riders and 2 category 2 riders that are often in the top 3 in that race. You know, this new format is really pushing them hard and pushing them hard to actually ride hard at the start of this race. And I'm wondering whether it's going to hit their legs on that climb at the end, and whether our Category 1 riders, even though there's still 3 kilometres distance between Ilpino and Spratt and this Category 1 pack, you know, how is it going to play out in the latter stages of this race?
It is going to be very interesting to see how that gap closes or opens. So they go down. Ollie Jones now on the offensive in category 1. He's after Vink, who's up the road by about 3 seconds. And this is a really critical moment. Jones has realized he's got to go. Mr. X100 has also seen the danger because it's Vink up the road. You can just about make out Vink in the distance, and this is now the response by the whole of the group behind. They have got to chase and chase hard, but this is our category 1 leader. He shot clear off the front of the race. He timed it so that we were watching another screen to make sure he gave himself as much advantage. Tactical racing from Michael Vink there, and that's exactly what I would be doing. I'd be waiting to try and get away. It's the out of sight, out of mind that you find in racing on the road. If you are in a bunch and you're all on a long straight road in the middle of nowhere with nothing around you, it's so hard to get away because everyone can see everything. You put yourself in a little lane with lots of trees, lots of bushes, lots of rocky outcrops, so you can get away down the road. Absolutely key. Vink's not done it this time, But what he did do is he has made everybody chase, and I think he's now going to go clear currently with Mr. X100, but he may see one or two riders at most get to him, but they might have missed the boat here because Mr. X100 has just about held on to Michael Vink. The rest, I think they're in trouble.
Well, that is one of the things, isn't it? We are covering 4 separate race starts today, and in doing so, we are not 100% on the time on the front of the race, on the front of the Category 1 riders who are normally at the front head of the race. So it is indeed giving some tactical advantage to some of those Category 1 riders further back who, if they are reliant on watching the feed, as our viewers are watching as well, the feed isn't always on them, and that gives some opportunity. And we've seen Vink take that, and Mr. X100 has moved over and covered that move. Not as obvious, but we are starting to see some response from behind, I imagine, from that group. But those two are now ahead.
I was just keeping a check on those times. They had a gap of 8 seconds. It had dropped down to 6 seconds. I'm not sure where that is at the moment, but the way that Vink is pushing on, I think this is going to be very interesting to see. And I suspect it's going to be at about the 10, 11 second marker back from Mr. X100, who is the rear of those riders to the chasing riders behind. But you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, this is our chasing pack. They've got to try and close down the riders in front. They're currently further down the course. They're separated by what is about 130 to 140 meters between them. There's next to nothing between these riders, but it's enough. You can go a long, long way in a very, very short space of time.
Well, you can, Matt, because these two riders on the front, Mr. X100 and Michael Vink, are around 50 kph. It's about 8 kph difference. The pack behind, who are supposedly chasing, are slower. They're not going to catch if they're slower. And as we move into segment 5, those first category riders have just gone through that segment. We can indeed see that attack from Michael Vink and Mr. X100, giving them the fastest time through that segment by a long way. So 7 seconds, 9 seconds clear of those category 2 riders, Spratt and Ilpino, who had held the pace, but 15 seconds quicker through that segment number 5, a 3.5 segment, than the rest of that category 1 race. So SS, Zanaska, Graves, Popovich, Neer, Noren, Jones and Osborne getting really caught out there from that attack from Vink and Mr. X100.
I make it 10 riders in that chasing group of category 1 chasers. So the leaders of Vink and Mr. X100, left-hand screen. Second from the left was our chasing group. They are sandwiched behind these riders. They're chasing currently. Then we've got category 2 now on your screen with Tom Gates in there. Then category 3 with Rodel Astorga, our current leader on the road. That's the third screen across. And then category 4 at the moment, the leaders in category 4 just a little bit further back. So Rodel at the moment leading now. You can see behind category 2 chasers, Pino and Spratt. We've been marking their progress on the way through. They have moved through all of the category 4 riders. In front are 2 category 3 riders trying to close down on Rodel Astorga. Behind Maglio, Baltazar and Borgen, these are the chasing riders in that category, trying to close down. But at the moment, Pino and Spratt moving on this course very fast and going through the groups. Meanwhile, Michael Vink and Mr. X100 are in a category 1 breakaway. They've got the gap on the riders behind. We're trying to work out quite how far that gap is, but I think it's going to be in the magnitude of about 20 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, so taking a look at that time gap, it is around 20 seconds that Vink and X100 have on that rest of that category 1 field. But it's a less of a gap to the next group on the road in front of them. In fact, there's quite a significant number of riders, 10 or 11 seconds in front of Vink and X100. So again, they will see riders on the long stretch of road, and it's added motivation to catch what you can see.
So just taking a little bit of a look at Ilpino in category 2, chasing category 3 leader. That is Astorga. The difference between them at the moment is about 800 meters, if that. In fact, 700 meters closing. It's about maybe 650 now. It's going down as fast as we can bring it to you. So category 3 is your leader on the road. Category 2 is closing on category 3. They've both passed category 4 and chasing everybody. Well, it's Michael Vink leading category number 1 with Mr. X100 at 2 seconds at the moment, trying to stay with Michael Vink. But remember, Vink has just signed a pro contract based on his performances racing on MyWhoosh and on esports, and it is incredibly quick.
Yeah, he is indeed incredibly quick, and he has often time trialed away from the front of the lead group in the Category 1 race once we get into the latter stages of the race. And he is about to do that again. I think this is the kick. This is Vink actually trying to push on now. But these Category 2 riders, look at that. Let's just try and get in his draft.
Well, it's a draft to try and go for every time. So at the moment, you can see Vink leading 1, Pino leading 2, Astorga leading 3, but it is going to be very, very tight. Vink is up to 25th or so on the road as leader of Category 1. He's in with a big group of Category 2 riders, but you can see these groups are starting to come back together once again. Meanwhile, right-hand side, this is Nicholas Spratt. Spratt is second in Category 2, but in 4th place overall. He's a long way down the road on these riders who are still chasing.
Yes, and Mr. X100 currently in that group of Category 2 riders. Vink currently at the head of that. And actually, these Category 2 riders are doing the work for Mr. X100. They are the ones who go, oh, look, there's a draft. There's a fast draft. And actually, there are about 8 Category 2 riders in there. 8 doesn't fit into 5. 5 prizes in that Category 2 race, and there are 2 riders down the road. So they're going to utilize the benefit of Vink and Mr. X100 to try and split the Category 2 pack that Vink and X100 have just caught.
Well, just interesting watching that. Mr. X100 has made the catch there. So I think Mr. X100 has benefited from the draft of the group behind. He's gone through that draft and caught up with Michael Vink. So when Vink was in the draft on his own, Mr. X100 got distanced a little bit, but then Mr. X100 is a master at using other people's draft and timing it to perfection. He's done that. But now we are seeing Vink start to drag strip out this group. But remember, if you're smart, you'll save something for that catch. If you're in a group that's going to get caught, you'll start to ease off a little bit before you're caught, just so that you've got that little bit extra kick to go with the riders. But the sheer power of Michael Vink is really telling. However, they've got to try and close down on the front of the race. And the front of the race at the moment, that is the battle between Astorga and Il Pino. Those are the 2 leading riders.
Yeah, and really interesting to see the tactics of these 2 Category 1 riders in this catch in this group, because Vink is pulling this group along and they are benefiting from it, whereas X100 is sat in and taking a ride and letting those other Category 2 riders do the work for him, and they are doing it. X100 is in that group making a benefit, and Vink is pulling them along down the road.
So just watching the leaders in Category 1 left of your screen, the chasers behind right-hand side of your screen, and it has blown that group of Category 1 riders apart. I don't think there is a peloton left in Category 1. I think they're fractured as they've caught the rest of the groups, and this is really, I think, playing into the hands of solo breakaway riders. Now, just dropping across, this is the battle for the race lead. It's going to come down to literally a matter of a few meters. You can see Astorga has got the distance, but we are talking next to no distance between them. Il Pino has him in his sights, so that fight is going to continue onwards, but that is the race lead at the moment. It still has some distance in front of our chasing group behind Mr. X100, currently sitting on the wheels of Vink. Make sure Vink does all that work. You wouldn't want to give him a turn, would you?
No, not at all. But Vink is very, very comfortable. He's very, very capable of time trialing away. Il Pino here is about to make the catch on Astorga. So we are about to see our leading Category 2 rider overtake and catch our leading Category 1 rider and potentially become our new leader on the road. Interesting to note, though, Matt, in terms of the distance, the head of this race are at 31 kilometres. Vink and X100 are at 27.6. So there is still a significant distance between Vink and X100, the lead of that Category 1 race, and the lead on the race today.
It is now looking at Astorga versus Pino. That is the battle for the race lead. Ferry's group are the chasers in Category 1, chasing Michael Vink, the leader of Category 1. The group in Category 1, the bunch, has been blown apart. It keeps on fracturing and reforming. Astorga has done a storming ride at the front of Category number 3. He overtook all of Category number 4. He's our race leader overall. However, this is the express train that is trying to close them down. The Michael Vink train on the left. And interestingly, as this race has gone on, I think Michael Vink's advantage has been lessened a little bit here, because as the chasers catch groups, they also get draft, just as Michael Vink does. So it is changing the dynamics dramatically here today.
Yeah, and making for a really interesting race and some very different tactics. And actually, what I'm really enjoying, Mr. X100 is an absolute consummate knowledge of riding on this platform. He rides on this platform day in, day out. And actually, the technique and understanding he has of courses and gradients and the dynamics of MyWhoosh are really coming to play in this format today.
And Il Pino is another rider who's ridden a lot on the platform. He's now caught Astorga, so Astorga now needs to jump onto the back of Il Pino. Il Pino winding up, trying to break clear. They are the 1-2 at the moment, Il Pino and Astorga. They are also the leaders in Category 2 and Category 3. However, the leaders of Category 1 is Mr. X100 and Michael Vink here, and they are on this little bit of a climb. They've got company. Krasnich, Tiselius, Maglio, Bogra, and Giuliano, all very, very close indeed, all able to keep in touch. So the leaders of Category 1, top left, top right is your leader of the race overall. It's also got Astorga in there. However, this is the Category 1 lead battle. Michael Vink versus Mr. X100. And again, Vink pushing on this gradient up over the bridge.
Yeah, and it is indeed a gradient up over this bridge, but not too much. We are only just in a gradient here. We are now coming back to complete flat and we're about to drop into a descent. So this is rolling lands at the moment. It's not until we hit 38.8 kilometers that we come into that final Category 3 climb today.
So seeing our race leader, the shape of Francis Il Pino with Rodel Astorga in second place. And then he's right behind him, and he's trying to push on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see the leaders of Category number 4 in those red jerseys continuing to push on. So our leaders in Category 1, 2, 3, and 4 are on your screens from left to right at the moment. However, the race lead is held by the center 2 screens by Francis Il Pino and Rodel Astorga. They are the leaders on the road, with the chasing riders behind trying to close down. There is still a lot of bodies separating Il Pino and Astorga from the chasers behind in terms of Michael Vink and co. So let's see how that plays out. At the moment, we're at 34k, so we've got just over 10 kilometers left. That's 6.214 miles.
Yeah.
Ish.
Astorga is sitting there on the back, just off the back wheel of Il Pino as we drop in, and Mr. X100 is indeed just pushing on in front of Vink at the moment. That Category 2 riders, Kranic is still in there. Kranic is a class Category 2 rider, mind you. The last 2 weeks he has been in the top 3 and indeed was 4th in the November final. So a top 5 rider in the Category 2 race. Kranic is sat on the back with Maglio, another really strong Category 2 rider, trying to benefit from the fact that Mr. X100 and Michael Vink has come past and gone through their group.
Indeed, and that's the tactic to use, isn't it? Take a decent lead, go as far as you can without going into the red. Have a little bit left in reserve and ease back just before you get caught so that you can keep on pushing. Now, Astorga has done exactly that. He pushed on, he pushed on, he took the lead. He knew that Ilpino was coming. Ilpino did have Sprat for company, but he's broken clear of him. And Ilpino at the moment is making the running. Michael Vink and Mr. X100 have moved up inside the top 20 riders overall. So they have moved up into the top quarter of the race field. However, they've got a lot of work to do to close down our leader. The distance is coming down though. 32.1 kilometers covered when it was 35.2 kilometers covered for our race leader on the right hand side of your screen.
Yeah.
So that gap has come down 3k, I think, in about the last third of the race or so. But don't take those numbers as gospel. As the numbers, not me.
Yeah, so 3 kilometres separating the front of our Category 1 race and the race on the road, led by Ilpino. But Astorga, I have to say, is having an absolutely storming race today. You know, our Category 3 leader at the moment really working hard to stay on as we move through segment number 6 on the road today. So a 3.5 kilometre segment, 7:02 for Mr. X100, indicating, I think, the work he's done to catch Vink and stay with Vink, but Vink not in second place. Actually, Kranich in second place. Again, we've seen Kranich and Maglio work really hard to try and stay with Mr. X100 and Michael Vink. So 7:02, Kranich, X100 and Vink, 22 seconds back on that through to Maglio, Ilpino, Gakes, Tiselius, Borgen, etc., actually moving through there. And we haven't seen, or I can't see, looking at that, the rest of our Category 1 riders coming through that segment at the moment. So the gap that Vink and X100 have now established there is really strong.
It's strong and it's a substantial time gap. We'll keep an eye on that as this progresses onwards, as we watch those results we're waiting to see. But you can get it in real time effectively, because at the moment it doesn't look to me like we've seen any of the rest of the Category 1 riders go through, and it shows you what a lead that Vink and X100 have built up here. But at the moment, it is Francis Ilpino who leads the race out. He now has 10 seconds on Rodel Astorga. Astorga into second place overall, our leading rider in Category 3, the third screen from your left. So Category 1 leader, Vink. Category 2 leader is Ilpino. Category 3 leader, Rodel Astorga. Category 4, well, take your pick from any of those riders in there. We're riding in with Suarez at the moment, but we have a bunch of riders in Category 4 together.
Yeah, so 6 Category 4 riders in that lead pack with 5 prizes up for grabs. So one is going to be very disappointed today, and I'm imagining that is going to break apart when they reach our final climb today, and they're not that far off. 34.39 kilometers for that lead pack in that Category 4 race. 38.8k is when our climb starts. So they are 4.4 kilometers off of the start of that final climb today.
So it's going to be really interesting to see who can take that climb on in any kind of speed after what has been an absolutely brutal battle. Remember, this is a real fight out there. You can see the distance on the road difference between our Category 3 leader, that is Rodel Astorga at 37.23, and the chasers behind. Meanwhile, Michael Vink now up to 17th place overall. He knows time is running out for him to make that, but remember, when we hit a climb, that is when that power to weight ratio will really kick in, and it pays not just to be able to produce big watts, but to be able to climb and have a great power to weight, or a watts per kilo ratio as you go up. And basically it's about power to weight. When you go uphill, it's about pure power on the flat.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Matt, that group of our Category 1 riders, in terms of the chasing Category 1 riders, has now gone through the final part of segment 6, and they are out of the top 10 fastest times. So the group of Category 2 riders who are chasing and trying to stay with X100 and Vink are faster than the chasing group of our Category 1 riders on the road. So Vink and X100 and the group of Category 2 riders have gone through faster than the second pack on the road of Category 1 riders today. This different dynamic is making it very different on the race field, and we've got riders pushing themselves much harder, much earlier on. I'm wondering if we're going to see some people blow on that final climb today.
I think there could be a lot of debris on the climb of bits of body parts as people have blown themselves to pieces. Because if you go too hard too soon, when you get that kick on the climb, you're going to be in trouble. And I mean, Emma, we're talking about 11th place on segment 6 for the nearest rider in category 1 to our leaders. That is a scary, scary distance. And it's about, what, 27 seconds down, I think it was?
Yeah, so they were indeed 27 seconds slower through that segment than the Vink X100 and Maglio Kranich group. So that group that were really pushing on, Vink has been attacking, X100 has been chasing, but that category 2 group have been helping X100 do that chasing work through that segment. And that is really represented in the times today. So Vink, Kranich, and X100 getting the fastest times through there today, less than half a second between those three. Admittedly, 22 seconds back to that chase group of category 2 riders, but they have definitely been pulled through, and that, I wanted to call it argy-bargy going on between Vink and X100 has really benefited from them.
It has, and interesting to see. We're just watching the distances go through. The big chasing pack that we're talking about that is effectively just in that segment, 11th down. So that chasing pack of Category 1 riders, so Jones, Osborne, Safrazad, Nair, Graves, SS Noren, Popovic, and Zanaska, they are 1K down. Almost exactly 1K at 35. When they hit 35, the leader was at 36K. It is still stretching out, though, at the moment, but you are seeing a kilometre between these riders. 1K on the road, that is a lot of time separating them, and I don't think that's likely to come back now, particularly as the rider on the front, it is the one and only Michael Vink. However, the man he's chasing is still a fair way up the road. Francis Ilpino on the right of your screen is our race leader overall, but Vink is now up to 10th place.
And Ilpino and Spratt are now 1-2 on the road today, and they are already on the final climb. They are already on that category 3 climb. It's 6.2 kilometers long. It has an average gradient of 5.2%, and we will see really steep segments on that climb today as Ilpino and Spratt ascend to the finish line at the top of that climb, whilst Vink and others are chasing hard, but they have not even reached the foothills yet.
No, but Vink has just caught a big group of Category 3 riders. That's allowed him to make up about 4 or 5 places. But look at this. Lopez has gone, hang on a minute. I want that wheel. You can see top left-hand side of the screen. He tries to go with him there. I'm not sure that trying to go with Vink is a great move, because actually, just to do that, your legs are likely to just explode just trying to sit with him. However, he is doing it. Look at this. Lopez, Restrepo, Parisi are quickly onto the wheels, but they can't hold on to Michael Vink. Vink is chasing Pino, but they're on the climb, and Vink is now into 5th place overall, which means that it's Drummond, Astorga, Spratt, and Ilpino in front of him.
And I'll tell you who has benefited from trying to hold with Michael Vink is James Kranich. Kranich, a class category 2 rider, and was with that very large group of around 8 category 2 riders with Ilpino and Spratt down the road. So that pack that Vink went into were racing for 3rd, 4th, and 5th in category 2. And Kranich has gone, I've got an opportunity here. If I can try and go even for the next 5 minutes and then I blow, I'll find a group and I'll sit and I'll rest. But look at that. It's really pulled him down the road, and he is now 3rd in that category 2 race.
And that has potentially secured him a little bit extra prize money because remember, of course, prizes in top 5 positions in each of our categories. So top left-hand side of your screen, you can see Ilpino, Sprat, Astorga, Dromard, Vink is the top 5 positions with each of those riders separated on the ground. They are riding individually. Astorga, Pinot, Dromard all riding individually. So is Michael Vink. Behind him, then, you can see that we've got Kranich chasing, but Pinot is our leader on the road. He's the rider on the second screen from the left-hand side. He is our leader at over 40K, nearly 40.5 kilometers covered of 45. Can he hang on to the end? The express train is coming behind. Now, the distance will dramatically reduce because at the moment, Vink has only just turned onto the climb. He was traveling over 40, nearly 50 kph. Meanwhile, 13 to 15 kph is Mr. Francis Ilpino, and that is because he's on the climb. He is motoring up it, but my goodness, that speed difference is dramatic at the moment. However, it's the time gap that's going to count as we go in now.
Yeah, it is indeed. And Ilpino now has got 7.7% gradient that he is working for on that left-hand sweeping bend as the gradient will kick even harder. We're back in with the chasing category 1 group, and you can see Popovich, Graves, Noren and Jones, Zanaska and Osborne, plus Zach Neer here in this group. It's a huge group of category 1 riders, but boy, are they some distance down the road at the moment.
And they are battling for, I think, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th places, etc. Because as far as I'm aware, Mr. X100 is in between this chasing group and our leader in the category, that is Michael Vink. So Vink on the left-hand side of your screen, leading out category 1. Second place is Mr. X100, who is in no man's land. Then it is going to be SS. Meanwhile, on the climb, you can see Francis Ilpino is leading 49 seconds clear of Sprat, 128 on Astorga. Dromard is over 2 minutes back. Then it is going to be Vink. So that is the order of the top 5. Kranich still continuing to push on at the moment, but our race leader is a category 2 rider holding off a category 2 rider, then 2 category 3 riders, then it's a category 1 rider chasing behind. They are closing in on each other, but Ilpino at the moment looking very, very good. He's putting out some serious power at the moment. He is continuing to push, and his heart rate while he's working hard, 181 beats a minute.
Yeah, but look at the revs on that climb, 96 RPM on the revs on that climb. He's holding fantastic cadence on that climbing today. But that gradient at the moment for him is kicking at over 12% at the moment. And what a gradient, whereas actually Vink is at 2.6% gradient on the much lower slopes.
And remember, we are going to get a little snapshot before we reach the finishing line because segment 7 is 38.9K, so basically the base of the climb, to 43.9K covered. So that is only 1.1K from the top. And that means that we will get a really good indicator of who is climbing well at the end of the race. Come the end of the race, come the climb, guess who's on the move? Ollie Jones on the attack once again, looking to stretch this out now that they are going on to the climb, but he's got a lot of ground to make up, but he could secure a 3rd place here.
Well, I think we are going to start to see that category 1 chase group really start to move through the field here. And look at that. Jones is pushing Osborne, Noren, Safrazad, Zanaska. These are class climbers. And whilst they may have been taking it easy and recovering on that transition section, I think we are really going to start to see this group push on now. And by pushing on, they are going to start to catch those category 2, category 3, and any last category 4 riders who are on the road ahead of them.
Well, we just saw them go past a big group of Cat 4 riders, didn't we? And it's Jones who's making the run, and Johan Noren right behind him. Astorga up the road, chasing Pino. Vink is chasing Astorga and Ilpino, but Ilpino is our race leader. So you can see as we work our way through these riders that the category 1 leader, Michael Vink, is trying to close down on the leaders ahead, but it's still Ilpino, Sprat, Astorga, Dromard, and Vink. Vink has not yet made the catch to the 4th place rider, Florian Dromard. So Dromard at the moment in 4th, Rodel Astorga in 3rd, Nicholas Spratt in 2nd, Francis Ilpino in 1st place at the moment, and Michael Vink, who has been able to solo to victory overall, as well as taking the Category 1 win, really up against it now. He has got to motor to catch up with Francis Ilpino. Pino really pushing, carrying a lot of momentum through. He's at 42.3k as we see 40.6 for Vink, so still a substantial gap on the road. Look at Florian Dromard. Look at the revs, 46 revs per minute. How has he paid for going hard earlier on? Vink is about to make the catch. Here he comes. And Dromard, I think, has shot his bolt here. I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, and we did say that the format of the race today, and it's the first time of running this format, may well lend earlier category starts to go off harder than normal in an attempt to put a gap into the chasing category behind. And the time you will pay for that is actually in the latter stages of the race when we are on this category 3 climb. And I think Dromard has just paid for it.
Well, he's got to now hang on. This is where he's got to really dig deep, because at the moment he's in 2nd place in his category. That's big prize money up for stake, and that is going to be really, really critical as well, of course, getting our respect for having the guts go hard and to go out and try and make the race running. Did an amazing job. At the moment, he's got over 30 seconds back to Kranich behind him. Spratt in 2nd place is 40 seconds plus down on Ilpino. He's got Astorga behind, and then it is the fast chasing Michael Vink. However, the distances on the road are substantial between our top 5 riders. The man who's on a charge is Michael Vink. The question will be, can he take Astorga out? Can he take out Spratt? And then can he catch Ilpino? Time is running out, and he's going to run out of road if he's not careful.
Yeah, and I think that may well happen today, and we may well see Ilpino and perhaps Spratt too go over the finish line on the road before Vink makes the catch today. But I'd like to just pick out there, I think Rodel Astorga has had an absolutely outstanding ride today. And even if he blows and his legs fall off and he finishes 25th, which probably is not going to happen, absolute credit to him for his ride today.
Just brilliant to see that kick. And again, Ilpino, he's a rider who we know figures strongly in category 2. He has taken the bull by the horns. He really has gone out there and taken on the rest of this race. And so has Spratt, Astorga. Everybody at the front of this race is giving it absolutely everything. Vink is about to get to Astorga here, I think. So Rodel Astorga is about to come up. Meanwhile, behind, I think we're also starting to see a bit of a move from Pablo Popovic. He's about 46 seconds down on Michael Vink. So the UAE clan team unleashing Popovic on the climb. However, Jones is in that mix as well. So that is going to come right down to the wire. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, the action unfolding in category 1 here. But they are down behind our leader. Francis Ilpino is leading us up this climb at the moment. He's going to be coming close to the end of that segment very shortly. He's at 43.57 at the moment. 43.9 is where that segment ends. He's got a gap on Spratt and Vink. However, Vink coming, he's overtaken Rodel Astorga.
He has indeed, and overtaking the rest of the pack behind. That chase group on category 1 with Jones and Osborne, Noren, Popovic, Safrazad, they have moved into the top 10 now. They have indeed started to overtake, and they are picking off riders. So from 6th place back and filling out the top 10 now is that chase group of category 1 riders.
I think they've just got Dromard as well. I have a horrible feeling that Dromard has just got overtaken by them as well. If he can just try and stay in with that group, that is going to be very, very difficult indeed. So Florian, come on, keep on pushing. Use them here. Now, Michael Vink up into 3rd place here. He's trying to close down on our race leader, Francis Ilpino. He's got about 700 meters to go, and it's not even 700 meters till he gets to that banner. In fact, here it comes. But this banner is still 1.1k off the finishing line. and he needs to keep on pushing. He's going to want to take the scalp of Michael Vink with or without that head start. It is still a big victory. If he can take the win overall, he's got to keep on pushing.
He has got 1.2k back to Michael Vink. I don't think, even though Vink is absolutely a world-class rider, I do not think Vink is going to catch Il Pino, and I think we are going to see Il Pino today come over that line, first man on the road.
Well, let's see now. We are watching both of these fast-moving riders. Sandwiched in between is Nicholas Spratt. Don't forget, we do have our second rider in the second category, sandwiched in between. Michael Vink is currently in third place. He's chasing Nicholas Spratt. He's the next target up the road for him. But in front of Spratt is Il Pino, who is motoring on here. Now, Il Pino's time on the segment number 7, the time to beat is 12:59.596. That's the split time. Question is going to be, how much time will Vink take out by the time he hits there? I don't think he's going to do enough to catch our leader. I think Emma is right, because we are at 44, nearly 44.5 kilometers for Francis Il Pino. And remember, this is a really nasty finish here. Spratt just about to come up to that gantry. He still has a substantial distance between himself and Michael Vink, but Vink moving on one of the fastest sections through the tunnels.
Yeah, so Vink's gradient currently at around 8% here as he comes out towards the end of that tunnel. Spratt, who we are just dropping in with, currently gradient about 4.6%. This constantly changing gradient on this climb today. Some really steep sections and indeed a few downhill sections to allow the riders to roll and take the momentum, or indeed a micro rest.
Indeed. Now, Spratt going through 1 minute 10 down on that segment. The last segment is a 5K climbing segment. So Spratt going backwards. Il Pino heading into towards the climb finish. Michael Vink chasing Spratt, chasing Il Pino, but it is going to be Francis Il Pino who should be taking away the victory here today. But Vink is on a charge. He's got to come around this long left-hand turn, and he's going to set a time up there. But look at Il Pino. He's onto the descent. He's into the dip. The gantry is coming. Francis Il Pino, what a ride. He takes the overall race victory here at qualifier number 3. The first second cat to do so in the men's race for as long as I can remember covering the racing.
Yeah, so we've seen 4 separate starts today. Il Pino, first man on the road. Nicholas Spratt here, still second man on the road, with around 600 meters still to go to the finish line today. Chasing hard behind him, we have Vink. Vink is around 300 meters behind Spratt. Will Spratt stay out in front of Vink to take second on the road today?
Well, Michael Vink covered the 5K segment 2 minutes 46 seconds quicker than Nicholas Spratt. Spratt has got to give it absolutely everything, because if anybody can do this, it is Michael Vink. Vink is motoring here at the moment. Has he got enough? With 500 meters left to go, this is going to be a real nail-biting finish. Surely Spratt has got enough gap. Surely he wants that second place enough. He's going to give it absolutely everything over the top.
Yeah, so Spratt can start to see the daylight from the tunnel that he's about to come out of. He's about to transition into the downhill part of the course. He has got 300 meters to go to that finish line. It's 200 meters back to Michael Vink. I think this is going to be Spratt's for second on the road today as he drops down this descent to roll up into the climb, and he sees that finish banner. He is clear of Vink and takes second on the road today.
So the overall victory goes to Francis Il Pino, our second category winner as well. Nicholas Spratt, second overall, and the second rider in category number 2. Next rider in, it's going to be Michael Vink, who's put up one amazing chase today. He broke clear the rest of category 1. He's on his way into the finish. He's on that descent. He's going to be on to the climb. Here he comes. So Michael Vink is going to be our category 1 winner and third place overall.
So Ilpino in 1, Sprat in 2, 1-2 in the Category 2 race today, Vink in 3, but first in that Category 3 race today. And I think dropping back into the feed, we are going to start to see this ride for second, third, fourth, fifth, as this pack in this Category 1 race will start to come out of this tunnel and into the descent before the kicker to the finish line. So Safrazad in the lead here from Jones, Zanaska and Popovic. Safrazad has broken clear of this chase group and he turns this left-hand corner. He dips into that descent before the kicker to the finish line. Safrazad is going to see that finish line. He's going to finish second in this Category 1 race with Jones, Popovic and Noren hard on the wheels behind.
So it's all coming down to who can make the most of the climb here today. Jones is on his way in now. He's going to kick in to the finishing line. Great ride by Jones. He's being chased by Popovic, though. So at the moment, it is Pino, Sprat, Vink, Safrazad, and Jones. It's going to be Popovic who comes in behind him. Going to be a really close, interesting battle here. Zanaska's almost in danger of being rolled there by Noren. In fact, he was rolled just on the line, 0.003 of a second between them.
That's what you need a computer for, Matt, because on a line judge, that would have been less than a tyre. So Noren taking Zanaska there for 7th and 8th. Dropping back in now, we can see riders pushing on. SS is pushing on, just overtaken Kranich, just going past Astorga. Astorga has stayed out for so long. You know, SS still has just over 600 meters to the finish line today. Other riders just in front as they climb to this finish.
Well, really interesting. I'm just dropped back into segment 7 on the climb. The climbing segment, fastest rider, Saeed Safrazad, then Ollie Jones, then Zanaska, then Popovic, then Noren, then Michael Vink. So it shows just how much energy that pack had to chase down the leaders. So here we go. You can see there, Safrazad and Ollie Jones on segment 7, Zanaska, Popovic, Noren, absolutely flying. They had the pace, they just left it too late. If we flick back to our overall, I think we're going to see our next finisher come in. It should be SS, I think, making his way into the finish. And we've got Astorga and Mendoza at the moment leading in our 3rd and 4th category races as well. So all happening here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. Zach now on his way to the line. He's going to go in clear of SS here, not by much. So it's going to be very, very tight indeed. Don't forget, of course, all of the results up on mywhoosh.com/results. Ruddle Astorga, probably my rider of the day today, going on the attack as Nair's coming through in 9th place. 10th place is going to be SS from the UAE clan team. And remember, when we get into our finals, that would have been a win for the UAE clan team in the overall team competition. Krasic comes in to round out our top 3 in category 2. Very pertinent today, given our race win by Francis Ilpino, who takes the win overall. Ruddle Astorga comes through, confirmed as our winner in category number 3, and we've still got category 4 winners on the way up the climb. Looking good for Mendoza at the moment. So, as we can see, a great race win from Francis Ilpino. Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure putting words to the action. It's been a manic race.
It has been fast, it has been furious, and it has been absolutely fantastic to watch. Great to put words to the action today on race 3 on the 18th of December.
Indeed it has. So from Emma and myself and from all of the team at MyWhoosh, make sure you come back. We've got the women's race coming up again. 4 different race starts for our women. We'll be back with that very shortly. Make sure you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel for all of the action to get notified when we go live with the Sunday Race Club. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.